had to make a lot of really bad pot roasts before I finally figured it out. But once I cracked the code, I learned to appreciate how beautiful a good pot roast is. I've been browning some onion halves in this pan. Look how gorgeous they are. I love cooked onions. I love brown cooked onions. Now I'm going to throw in some carrots. And this pan is really, really hot. And the point is to get a little color on these vegetables before we put them all in the pan together and cook the whole thing. I'm going to grab my meat. Part of why I had to make friends with the pot roast is that I've always had a freezer full of roasts. Those are always the last things to go after the steaks and the hamburgers and the good stuff. And for the longest time, I just could not figure out how to make a good pot roast. Every time I made a pot roast, it was tough. And I thought, erroneously, that I was cooking the pot roast too long. So it was sort of a vicious cycle. The next time I'd make one, I'd cook it a little less. And the next time I'd make it, I'd cook it a little less. But what I didn't know, and what I would soon learn, is that pot roast needs to be cooked for a long, long period of time over low heat in order to dissolve the tough connective tissues in the meat. These carrots are nice and brown. It only took a couple minutes. That's what a hot, hot pan will do for you. Now, this is a chuck roast, which is my favorite cut of roast. Got salt and pepper on it. I'm just gonna press it against the bottom of that pan. Just sear it, get a nice golden brown on both sides. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip this over to the other side. It already smells delicious. And it hasn't even begun to cook yet. Okay, this is nice and brown. Now I'm gonna take the meat out just for a minute. And now I'm gonna grab some beef broth. Okay, that should be good. I've loosened up all those wonderful, flavorful particles in the bottom of the pan. And now I'm just gonna add the meat back into the pan, right into the liquid. And I'll just add the vegetables. And this would be delicious on its own, but I have found that a couple of sprigs of fresh herbs can completely transform a pot roast from delicious to life-changing. I'm using rosemary and thyme. You don't need to chop them up, just throw in the sprigs. Okay, now at this point it gets really, really complicated, so pay attention. You take the lid and you put it on the pot. It's not really complicated, I was just kidding. Now it goes into a 275-degree oven for 3 or 4 hours, depending on the size of your roast. You don't need to fiddle with it, you don't need to stir it, you don't even need to check on it. Just let it go. This looks delicious. This is what pot roast is all about. You try to take it out in one piece, but it falls apart. But that's when you know you've got it right. Now you can shred this with 2 forks. You can slice it with a sharp knife. It really doesn't matter what method you use because it all falls apart anyway. I'm hungry.
Is that roast beef I see?
Yep.